Hello and welcome to Living a Culture of Life podcast by Human Life International. I'm your host, Colleen, and I'm joined today by Imre Téglásy, our affiliate in Hungary. Welcome, Imre.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Oh, I'm very excited to have you on. It's an honor to have you here as a guest on the show and an honor to meet you. So we're going to be talking today about your personal story, which is, I'm sure, what got you into the pro-life movement because you survived abortion. So I think that we'll just jump right in there. Would you mind giving our American listeners a little bit of background to the situation in Hungary around the time you were born and what led up to the circumstances around your birth?
Well, it happened in the 50s when I was conceived and I was born. I born to a middle-class family. My mother was a teacher. My father was a mayor, officer, and a soldier in the 30s and the 40s. And after the Soviet occupation, my family was declared class enemy. You know, the communists didn't like religious people. My father and my family was very religious, especially my father's family. So this was the line which prayed a lot and respected our basic Christian values and tried to keep them in their everyday life as well. So it happened in 1951 when the Hungarian communist authorities, ruled by Soviet agents and communists, decided to get rid of the class enemies, including my father and mother and two other brothers of mine, who were already born, and they ordered the family to leave Budapest at once. It was a deportation, a communist way to get rid of the so-called enemies. So my father and mother and two elder brothers had to leave the capital, and they were deported to the desert of Hungary, which is called Hungarian Puszta. This is just a very sad and miserable region of Hungary. Many poor people, and the living standards are very low, and so on and so on. So my father and mother was forced to go there. They didn't get a job. They were labeled as class enemies, and they starved. So, and in this plight situation, my mother realized that she was pregnant. Okay, she thought it was better not to give birth to the baby because they were very poor, and they, as I told you, they were starved, and they had to experience the everyday attack by communist policemen, and they were beaten by them, and so on and so on. So she decided to get an abortion. But it was not easy at that time because the previous system of Hungary, in the Hungarian kingdom, it was not allowed to abort a baby. It was still a good and pro-life regulation in the Hungarian legal system. So it was not easy to perform an abortion. So my wife decided to do it with her hands. And she jumped down from kitchen desk. She took quinine pills, which were sent by her brothers from the countryside, and even my grandfather wanted to take part at the abortion because he decided to travel to the place he was able to travel, and he made a deal with the doctor who would perform, in spite of the legal regulation, this secret and dirty abortion. But my father was very much engaged in my life, and as a Christian, he just felt that killing a baby is a killing, which was forbidden, and it is the fifth commandment. command, and he told to them that he wouldn't accept this action by them. So, in case if they want to abort, he would inform the authorities about this illegal act. So they were deterred from doing this abortion, and this was the way I could escape from these multiple other abortions. Jumping from kitchen desk and taking quinine pills, and this back alley doctor, I would say. And my mother took hot baths as well in order to cook me out from her womb. But fortunately, my father and the godfather of ours take care of me. So finally, I was able to born, and I'm here. And this is the short and condensed story of my life at the very beginning of my life.
Wow. I'm so thankful that abortion was illegal at that point, that your father was able to do what he could to be able to save you. So that is completely wonderful. It really goes to show how powerful pro-life laws can be, because they really can protect lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this was the moment when I began to have feelings. People, the average people think that children before birth have no feeling, no impressions. They just some clots of cells and so on. They don't have the feeling that they are feeling human beings. And this was the very same situation in my life while when I was rejected, in fact, by my mother and my grandfather and many other people who were in favor of aborting me, except my father and his family. So after my birth, I interestingly was always looking for my mother. And as a 2-year-old child, I kept asking, "Where is my mother? Where is my mother?" And people responded me, "This is your mother." And see here, this is your mother. And I couldn't accept this explanation because I deep down in my heart had the feeling that this is not my mother. And why was this feeling? Was it because I was told by anybody that this mother is not a real mother? No, it was just a feeling coming from the 9 months of pregnancy. During the events I had to survive. It was not knowingly this experiment of and sentiments regarding my own fate and regarding the relation between me and my mother. It was instinctive somehow. It was subconscious, I would say, but all these sentiments were carved into my soul. So after I came to world and I was looking for love and care and everything which is a normal, which is a habit of a normal child, I just couldn't accept this answer. This is your mother. No, I didn't have any feeling, we are speaking about feelings, that she was my real godmother. So I had two parents. One of them was my mother, who gave the birth to me. She couldn't do anything else, And my father, who was really he played the fullness of fatherhood by protecting me, by providing me food if it was needed, and so on. And this was the double standard, I would say. One standard was that no, I reject this child. The other was I hug this child, and this is my son. I defended from abortion, defended from death, and this was the very basic event in my life. This doubleness, this double bonding, and this two kind of bondings.
Yes. That makes sense. So you said that obviously your mother's experience trying to abort you had affected the feelings, the relationship there. When did you first know that that was what happened? When did you first find out that part of your story?
Yes, as I told you, when I was a little child, a toddling, I just was looking for my mother. Meanwhile, she was there, but I couldn't accept it. After a while, when I was 11 years old, I I just had this very strange feeling that something is wrong with the relation with my mother. But at that time, when I was 11 years old, we made an excursion from Hungary to Yugoslavia, which was in Croatia at that time, Serbia and Slovenia. Now there are three different and independent countries. But at that time, it was called Yugoslavia. And some relatives used to live there, and we visited them. By my father, he rode a bicycle. I sat behind him, and we went to Yugoslavia. And we arrived to the relatives, and it was already night. And everybody thought I was so tired, exhausted, and I wanted to go sleep. Well, so they showed me the bed. This is your bed, please take take your sleep. So my father and the relatives were talking about the story of my family, and my father told the story of his marriage, and he mentioned that his wife aborted several children of theirs. And he showed me to the bed, and this is the son who wanted to abort as well. And I didn't know at that time what does it mean, the word aborted. But I had the feeling that it must be something very awful, very ugly, very, very, very dirty. And I just cried into the pillow, speechless, because I couldn't say what it is, but I had the feeling that it is something awful, and it's about me, you know. Somebody, and my mother witnessed this strange rule against me, you know, and. Okay, so this was the time when I realized that the abortion, the word of abortion, occurred in my life, and of course it was an earthquake for me. It was a big shock for me, and afterwards I couldn't speak about this because I had fear, and I had fear to ask what does it mean. So I just was silent, you know, and silently I was speechless, and I spent some years in this situation that I couldn't speak about this problem of mine. And unfortunately, at that time, my parents were already divorced. My father used to live in Budapest. He was able to get back after the Hungarian Revolution, and we were able to get away from the Hungarian puszta where were deported. So he used to live there, and I used to live with my mother in a very poor settlement, and after a while I was feeling that I'm very alone, because there was my father was not present. I had no emotional support by my mother, so my brothers were far away in Budapest, so I just felt myself isolated, lonely, and I took several pills in order to get rid of life. You know, I wanted to commit suicide as a 12 years old child, and these pills were for sleeping, you know. to make it easier to sleep. So I took several pills. Nothing special happened. I just slept 2 days, and my mother realized that this is very strange that the child is sleeping 2 days in a row, so in continuation. But she didn't ask me what is happening or what are you feeling, because she never ever felt any sympathy for me, And this was the reason why she never ever asked me, "What about you? What are your feelings?" So there was a big lack and a big gap between us, and it was my cry to the world. I'm alone. I am lonely. I cannot live on anymore. I don't want to live on anymore. So afterwards, I wanted to be a brave child, a good child, in order to conquer my mother's love. So I studied very well. I have had good marks from the school, from the secondary school. I got some awards as a child, as a pupil, as a student. So after a while, I went to university, and I was present at a conference which was given by one of the Hungarian writers, who spoke very clearly and openly about the phenomena of abortion. And it was the second shock of me. And I had to face with the fact that that is something I have to deal with, because it is so deep in myself, this word abortion. I was heard this word when I was 11. And after maybe 10 years, I heard it again. So this is the problem. This is the secret. This is the challenge I have to face with. So I began to study this topic. I joined the pro-life movement, the Society for Protection of Unborn Children in Hungary. I made some scientific researches regarding the literary history, and from that point on, I was dealing with pro-life topics. And in the 80s, I joined this pro-life movement, and afterwards in the 90s, I was invited by Father Marx, who is the founder of Human Life International, Father Paul Marx. He invited me to the first gathering of abortion survivors held in Ottawa. And I had the feeling that the problem of mine is not just mine. It belongs to other people as well. It's a worldwide problem. It's a worldwide challenge for nearly everybody. And in case if you take the numbers of aborted babies during the 5 or 6 decades of the mankind, you can face with the fact that since 1966 we have killed around 2 billion children created in the image and likeness of God. Compared to this, we cannot even estimate the number of children that we have destroyed during the past 50 years with abortion causing poison pills and other means. That means that there was, and unfortunately there is, a worldwide war against children, against fertility, against fathers, mothers, and the whole mankind.
Definitely.
So this was the event when I came to the conclusion that I'm not alone. I have challenges in my personal life. However, after a while, as I was able to reconcile with my mother, due to the group therapy given by the Canadian child psychologist Philip Genay. He came to Hungary several times, and he gave us lessons, and he led this group therapies. So I could reconcile with this problem and with my personal problem, but still there was the problem of the world, the mankind, the world of the problem of God, the creation, the fertility. So how can we deal with it? We have to deal with it, and we have to solve the problems. We have to save other people. And this was the time when I began to work for Human Life International, invited by first by Father Paul Marx to take part at this international summit, and afterwards Joseph Meany, who was the director of HLI Europe. So this is the shortest condensed story of my pro-life attitude and work.
It's wonderful.
It's your turn. Sorry for speaking so much, but you know, several decades need to use several minutes.
Oh, definitely. This show is more about hearing your story and sharing that with our audience, not listening.
Do you understand my bad English? Poor English?
Yes, you can understand it.
Sorry for you.
Oh, I was able to understand it well.
Very good.
Yeah, we've had Dr. Joseph Meany on the show a couple times now, because he works now for the National Catholic Bioethics Center, and he's come on to talk about bioethical questions and brain death.
Yes. And his wife is Mary. Meany is a very good and great pro-life warrior and heroine as well. She published the book of the infertility, you know, and it's a very useful book, and we published it in Hungary as well, because this is another problem, you know, to deal with this infertility problem.
Yeah.
But there are several other challenges. So we are not designed to just to sleep and to just to relax. We are designed to work and fight hard for life and for other people.
Definitely. And that's one thing that's really blown me away, because I've been at HLI for about 2 years now, of just how holistic our approach is to solving those problems. It's not just focusing on abortion. It's not just focusing on contraception. It's kind of looking at, okay, what are all of the problems that are facing, and how can we help heal the family from the ground up?
So the front line is very, very, very long.
Yes.
We have to stay and fight.
Definitely.
And yes, we can do all our best, and the other tasks are on our God. We are preparing the ship, but the blow and the wind we given by Him.
Definitely. It's always nice when God's on your side, because you know things will work out eventually, even if you don't see it.
Yes.
Would you mind just sharing with our audience a little bit about your work, the work that you do in Hungary for saving lives? I know that you have an adoption program and you've been training nurses. So could you just share a little bit about that with our audience, just so they're a little bit, like they can hear it from you?
Yes. Okay. So as everybody knows, pro-life matter is a big matter and a big challenge, and the shortage of money and volunteers is sometimes painful. However, we can overcome these problems by different actions and methods. And for example, we launched a nationwide crisis pregnancy hotline system. We had to realize that there are some good people who are willing to work for us voluntarily, but after a while we had to face with the fact that after a while some of them burnt out, some of them become ill, some of them made a mistake that they die, and we had to face with this problem. And we come to the conclusion we need allies for this work, and because without them we just cannot go on. So from the very beginning of the 90s, I founded this organization of mine in 1996. So we faced with the challenge of infanticide cases in Hungary. And in order to help these women, abortion-minded women, I would say infanticide-minded women, you know, this is a very, very strong and complicated form of aborting a child, because it's a killing a newborn child. It's about the killing of a newborn child, infanticide. So we had to come to the conclusion that saving the mothers who are living in big secrecy and don't want to share them problems. They are just, retreated themselves from the openness, and they don't open their mind and soul and so on. They just go towards the secrecy, and finally they can kill their newborn. So this was awful. And that time it was in Hungary. See, Hungary is a 10 million population country. So we had to face in the 1906 and 90s that there are cases at about 25 or 30 who are detected by the police and so on, and but there are at about 10% of infanticide cases which couldn't be investigated and solved. It means that at that time were 250 or 300 babies killed right after the birth. And it was really awful. So we had to face with this problem, and we decided to decrease this number. So we advertised this new way of volunteering. Anybody who wants to adopt a baby, it's okay, and they need to be loved by adoptive parents. But in case if you want to adopt a baby, and we make it easier for you than the state-run agencies, they should join us, and they should accept work done voluntarily. So this was the period of time when we got these helpers for our work, the parents who were ready and are ready to adopt. But before the adoption, they have to do some work within our organization. And this was a good solution, because without them we couldn't survive, couldn't go on with this work. So right now we have at about altogether there are 160 adoptive parents. From them there are about 50 who are really diligently hardworking, cooperating with us, and this is enough for now. And this is the reason why we have to cooperate with other organizations, namely with registered nurses. In Hungary, there is a good and big network of registered nurses who are dealing with mothers, firstly with mothers. And these are the offices which face with the challenges of abortion-minded women. And we made a cooperation with them. We made a contract with them that we are providing them with pro-life materials, different type of materials, and we would be happy if they would share their problems with us, especially those who are aborted-minded among women. So this is the reason why we keep getting information on different women who are in trouble, who want to abort, or who don't have a home and they are homeless. So last week, for example, we prepared 2 open adoptions, and this means that this work is very hard now, because the Hungarian living standard is decreasing, and those mothers who have to leave their children, to abandon their children, are living among very miserable circumstances. It's very painful, but most of these mothers are facing with their problems, which we cannot solve either, because we don't have mother house. Our options are very limited. Mm-hmm. However, they turn to us and they say, we don't want to offer a bad fate to our children. Please take the child, and I would like to give it for an adoption, adoptive parents. And this is the reason why many children were able to save from state-run foster parents, and of course from abortion, infanticide, and so on. So these are good news. Last week, for example, we had to solve a problem of a prostitute who was a young lady. She is 30 years old, and she was in trouble because she already had 5 children. All of these children were given to the guardianship of her own mother, so she couldn't be with her own children. And the sixth child was conceived somehow. And she told me that she would go to a mother shelter. And I said, okay, let's try, but we have to know whether you are healthy, what are your expectations, and so on. And we had to discover, we had to face the fact that meanwhile she's a prostitute. It wasn't an exclusive aspect, but she had a sexual transmitted disease as well. So this meant that we couldn't offer him a mother shelter because with this illness, he couldn't get a bed, even a bed. So finally, she had to cooperate with us at giving the child in for adoption parents. And last week, the child was adopted. He was ill as well with this sexual transmitted disease, but it was not so difficult, and that it was curable. This, and the adoptive parents are very, very happy. And of course, before this adoption, they had to work for us for several months. It's not just it. We don't sell children for money, but we make easier to adopt children by cooperating with these adoptive parents. This is the work that they have to do.
Yes, no, that makes sense. And if they work with you,
yes.
Oh, I was going to say, if the parents are working with you, it means that you have a chance to make sure that they're good, upright people that will actually care for the child and kind of tell what their character is like.
This is a test period, before they can adopt a child. So let's take a sample. For example, somebody wants to adopt a child, okay, but you have to spend at least 6 months or a year or 1.5 years. And during this period, you have to bring maternity clothes collects and so on, the different kind of volunteer works and tasks. And if they are okay, then they will have this chance to adopt a child. And this is the cheapest and the easiest way to get helpers and to test them, whether they are really good. Every now and then we have to face the fact that they are not really so good as they want it to be. They don't take part at the work we do, and so on and so on. So it's a very important period of time for screening them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because many people say, I love so much, I wanted a child so much, and so on and so on. I love children so much. But what would you do to obtain this option to adopt? Okay, it depends on not what your words, but by your deeds. This is two different things.
Yes. What is the current state of abortion in Hungary? Is it legal there, or is it what? I don't actually know the legality of it.
Yes. Okay. The abortion is allowed in Hungary. In fact, is on demand. In case if you want to obtain an abortion, you can obtain it up until 12 weeks of pregnancy. Afterwards, up until 20 weeks of pregnancy, you can obtain an abortion just based on very special situations. You didn't know about it. You are mentally disabled, and so on. Mm-hmm. The child is seriously ill, and so on and so on. And this is the situation now. And interestingly, since Hungary is a decreasing population. We are decreasing in our numbers, and the total fertility rate is decreasing. Right now is 1.36. This means that we are under the 2.1, which would be, the stabilize the number of the population. And this way we are exposed to the same bad fate as all the European nations. We are dying out. We are disappearing. As Germans, as Italians, and Greeks. So the white population of Europe is decreasing and disappearing. And this is a big challenge for our politicians, why they keep playing the known rule of the Chinese monkeys. What is the Chinese? I don't speak about it. I don't see it. I don't hear anything. These are the politicians. Yeah. They don't want to speak about abortion. They don't want to see abortion. They don't want to hear about abortion. It's a taboo. Why? Because the present politicians are already perpetrators. During this many decades of abortion dictatorship, I would say heroic type dictatorship in Europe. And they just simply cannot realize that the problem of migrants is rooted in the lack of European children. With other words, the migrants are coming, keep coming, and are inviting because of the lack of European children. Because the system, the economical, political system badly needs those new slaves who would come from Asia, from Africa to Europe, and who would work, for the well-being of the European nations. And I just couldn't come to the conclusion that there should be a big economical, political, social change, a model, changing the model of exploiting women, all the women, by forcing them to go to the marketplace of work. And instead of this, they should be respected, given enough salary for their work they perform at home, the unseen work of mothers. But they couldn't come to this conclusion. This is the matter. Meanwhile, they keep saying the old feministic slogans for equal work, the equal salary, and so on. But it's an old-fashioned and not really good aspect to solve the problem. The problem is lays in the rule of mothers. Women are okay, but what about mothers? All the powers should be given to mothers. I'm okay with women, but mothers, that's the problem. Because if you don't want to become a mother, it means that you can get more salary from a workplace, marketplace. You have less work, and you will be much more evaluated by your bosses and the social and and so on and so on and so on. So there should be a change, a basic change in this regard, because once again, the problem of migrants arisen from the neglecting mothers, and unpaid work of mothers. Who want to do this? There are some, and these are heroines, of course, no problem. But in some single cases, women can produce and perform a really heroic role. But if you are not supported, then you will be a loser in your family and the nation as well, and the politics as well. So this is a very bad and short seeing policy. And this is the task we should somehow show them, our politicians, that it's time to change. And fortunately, 2 years ago, we were very successful in this regard, because we were able to introduce the so-called heartbeat regulation in Hungary. This means that all the women, all the abortion-minded women, have the right to see the unborn child silhouette, to listen to the heartbeat, and by experiencing these phenomena, they have a chance to change their mind. And this is the unique now in Europe. In America, there are Texas and other states where this is already good praxis, but in Europe, Hungary is the only one. And I am personally proud of the fact that I was who prepared this bill for the policymakers, and they accepted it after several rejections, but finally they accepted, and now it's in praxis, and by using this, several babies can be born.
That is wonderful. That I remember reading about that bill, and you had sent us a story about at least one woman who had decided to choose life for her child because she heard her baby's heartbeat. And
Yes.
Obviously, I'm sure there's many, many more. That was just one of the stories that I heard.
Yes.
And it's
This
so
story
wonderful.
this story is very special, not just because she was able to hear, but she was blind, and she couldn't see the screen. However, she heard the heartbeat of the baby, and she decided, this is my child.
Yes.
She couldn't see anything because she was blind. And this was a double miracle for us, that even without seeing, she was able to rely on her hearing, and she decided to give birth to the baby.
Yes.
It
Yes.
was
It was such
a victory for all of us.
Definitely. Well, Imre, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap up today? This has been a wonderful conversation.
Well, I just wanted to tell you that this abortion survivor syndrome is a very new scientific topic to be searched. Mm-hmm. First, in 1963, there was a Dutch scientist who come out with the idea of concentration camp syndrome. All those people who used to live in concentration camp had the feeling afterwards that, as they felt, that they were not really good to survive, and it was a chance for them, and they had the pervasive sense of guilt, morbid towards suicide ideation, and a difficulty grappling with exigency of life. Afterwards, in 1968, there was another scientist who said that there is another syndrome, survivor syndrome, and in the 80s, the Canadian scientist, I mentioned his name, Philip Gene, was who made scientifically obtainable this problem. Interestingly, there is a silence. There is a gap of searching it, and in fact, even if it was very, very important, the scientific world just keep rejecting this idea that there are people who survived the war, me, for example, and several others, several 100,000. But they are, playing the same Chinese monkey. Don't see, don't speak, don't hear about it. This is totally rejection. And this is pity, unfortunately. This is a big problem as well, not just from the part of politicians, but from the part of the scientists as well. There is a painful and I would say sinful silence about it. You should speak about it clearly.
Yeah.
That you are victims. We are victims. Nearly the whole mankind is victim.
Yes. Yeah, we had Robin Sertel on the podcast a couple of years ago, and she survived an abortion, a saline abortion in the 70s. And she didn't know that surviving an abortion, that there was other abortion survivors until I think 2020. She had no clue. She'd never heard any stories. And so just even bringing awareness among people, that's why I love having stories like this on the show, just so that if like our listeners do encounter people that have survived abortions, they can know they're not alone, that there's other people out there. And hopefully, as more and more voices are raised, scientists and politicians will have to pay attention and know that babies do survive abortion.
There is a good movie entitled October Baby. This movie is about an abortion survivor, and I would recommend to watch this movie so that you can understand these challenges of an abortion survivor. Even if you don't know that you are an abortion survivor, the syndromes are in it, in your heart, in your soul. And this is the reason why we have to speak about this. We have to deal with it, because unknowingly you will be just disturbed and destroyed by this phenomenon, by these symptoms. You have to heal other people. This is our message: to heal them, to save them, and if they become victims, then to heal them. And this is our task.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Imre. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you very much. If you understood what I spoke, then I will be happy. And let's. Okay, I just would like to finish our program with a sentence by American priest and Monsignor Philip Riley said that we have to be nations united in Christ for life. So this would be my recommendation for all the other listeners of ours. And let us be nations united in Christ for life. Thank you very much for this option.
Thank you very much.
God bless you, Colleen.
You too. And to all of our listeners, please like, follow, subscribe, and check out the new ebooks that we have coming out, and keep on living the culture of life. God bless.
Thank you. God may bless you. Amen.